on my birthday in 1969, between the government and research universities and others, there was this little activity that was launched called ARPANET. Today it's called the Internet. So that was a fabulous time, had a lot of fun with that. So when I came home, and then during Ronald Reagan's first term, the company I was with had the contract to automate the White House. The White House was manual operation, and we took it from manual to automated operation. And my particular area of responsibility was the Situation Room. And looking at today's White House, well, I was there in that Situation Room when air traffic control was basically fired, and then Ollie North and the Contra deal. I thought it was chaotic then, but I think it was a walk in the park compared to what's going on today. So, but anyway, my tribe asked me to come home and do economic development. And, you know, that was a pretty big challenge. You know, I didn't, I hadn't done things like that before, you know, in having to worry about all the infrastructure and everything. But sitting down thinking about it logically and working with civil engineers, it was a task that could be accomplished. So I agreed to do the job. So in December '93, I left my company in DC and came home. And I get home and you know, starting to look at what it's going to take to bring economic development to Tulalip. Well, for those that don't know where Tulalip is, we're north of Seattle on I-5. Our east boundary is I-5, and our west boundary is the Salish Sea. Okay? So, and then we have Marysville and we have Everett right there. Well, I was totally frustrated because when I got home, the best I could get out of my home was dial-up. Well, I left dial-up in the 80s. And here it was, you know, in the early 80s, I left dial-up. And now here it is, the middle 90s, and all I could get was dial-up. So you can imagine how frustrated I was. So I convinced the tribe on its own dime, because we tried to get grants from the Gates Foundation, didn't want to deal with us. The FCC and all the grants that they do could not get a penny because it wasn't financially feasible. They couldn't make money. Well, my message out to Indian country today, you can't use telecommunications as a profit center. It's a utility, and it must be treated as a utility. And so, in order to get any kind of economic development, you need the internet. Well, most tribes are in the rural areas. In the state of Washington, we have 29 tribes. There are some tribes that don't have internet. They're lucky if they get dial-up. So how are they going to do economic development? We're always told, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But then again, we get all these little barriers that get in our way. So I convinced Tulalip to put the money up to bring the internet to the reservation. So as what I did, I worked with Everett Community College and the University of Washington and got them to bring the internet to Tulalip. By using the students out of the classes, yes, it took longer. Yeah, I could have hired some company that could have got it in there in 6 months, but at a big price tag. And so by using the students and taking 3 years to accomplish it, it was 1/4 the cost. And every student that worked on that program got a job on the day of graduation because they could point to an actual project they worked on. And that was approximately 1,200 students. So by combining and working with the local education network, we were able to accomplish that. Today, Tulalip has its broadband company, telephone company, so it's doing quite well. But none of the economic development would have happened without it. Had to have it. Because as we were building our new casino and having gotten the internet in, we double wired it so that we had the redundancy. I'm sitting in my office, and this stranger comes in, cold call, and he said, "We've been watching you, and we want to come in to your reservation." And so I said, "Who are you?" And they said, "The Chelsea Group." And I said, "Well, who's the Chelsea Group?" Don't have any idea. "Well, they're the premium outlet malls." And they said they'd been watching us for a year, and they liked what they seen, what we were doing. And so now they're on our reservation. They opened the same week as the casino did. It first opened at 100 stores, then it went to 110 stores, now it's 135 stores. And, but prior to that, I also convinced the tribe to do a study and to find out what it is that would bring people to the reservation. So we had a survey done that went from North Vancouver, British Columbia, all the way down to Tacoma. And we asked, what would bring you to the reservation, plus a number of other things that were items of interest. But is what came out of that poll is, number one, they wanted to know about our culture. Number two, shopping. Then number three was the casino. Casino came in third. So tribes have to work and to figure out what will bring people in. And number one is that you got to have the internet. You don't have the internet, they're not going to come. So today, and I strongly suggest to tribes, is that we need to start working with whomever will work with us to bring fiber to the reservation. And then the tribe needs to, because it needs to be handled as a utility, create an intranet that they deliver the services that's required to the membership as a utility. So, so you reduce the expenses off the telecom folks because they don't have to worry about individual homes or individual businesses on the reservation. Let the tribe do that. Then the tribe can train their members to be those providers, and so they're getting high-tech training. So that's what needs to be done. And so that's what I'm telling tribes, that's what they need to do. So, and then besides that utility, tribes also need to be their own power utility. And they need to get into alternative energy. Some of the coastal tribes in Washington, we got 3 tribes that got to move their villages because they're going to get hit with the water. So they got to move their villages. So they need to bring in, be their own power utility because they have diverse needs, and they should use all the technologies that are out there. Wind, solar. Got a great briefing on tidal technology the other day. So tribes need to be involved in that. Now, individual tribes, they're not big enough to do that by themselves. They need help. And that's where I also ask tribes, think about a number of tribes getting together and creating that utility so you get the bang for the buck. So that's my suggestion. The entire communities in and near reservations. It's well documented that when a tribe succeeds, all the surrounding communities succeed. So we need to partner on all these endeavors with our surrounding folks. Thank you.